Yo, welcome to Trippy Commentaries and our 2014 NFL Playoffs preview. We have the Seattle Seahawks coming in as the returning champs, and they're probably the favorites. But on the other side, the New England Patriots looked prime for a Super Bowl run until the last couple weeks of the season. They kind of slowed down to the division opponents, New York Jets, as well as the Buffalo Bills. Can they get it back on track following a bye week? We'll give you all of our predictions and we'll preview the first round of the playoffs. I'm RJ here with FPS Kyle.
Yo, what's going on?
Mike.
Yo.
And Retro Brett.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Let's go ahead and jump right into it, guys. We have the Arizona Cardinals, who probably don't even deserve to be in the playoffs. Good thing they got a quick start to the season under Carson Palmer and a little bit under Drew Stanton there. But right now, they don't look good at all. They're going to face off with the Carolina Panthers, who have a losing record, yet probably are heavy favorites in this game. Jonathan Stewart's running the ball pretty good.
Yeah.
Cam Newton looks somewhat healthy, I guess. And their defense is playing pretty decent. Kyle, what are you looking at here with this matchup? I know there's not a ton to talk about because the offenses aren't great, but Carolina's got to be the favorite, right?
You would think so. I mean, there's a possibility Drew Stanton does play in this game. But for me, I don't think it makes a difference. Like I said, I think Cam Newton feels he's got a second chance at life. I think with Jonathan Stewart, I think that's enough for them to get done. Calvin Benjamin against Patrick Peterson going to be a great matchup.
Oh, yeah.
I see Calvin Benjamin coming away with it because we've known Patrick Peterson to have trouble against taller receivers. So,
I mean, it's funny you bring that up because that's the exact thing that I'm thinking of. And I'm talking about Arizona's defensive backs. They are so impressive. I mean, they got so many guys back there. But Carolina, man, you think they're just going to run it anyways. They probably won't worry about the defensive backs. We know they do have Benjamin. Greg Olsen had a great season. But when it came down to prime time there for the Panthers, they changed it up to their running game. That's what got it done for them.
Yep.
Can that match up against Arizona's defense? Because despite their offensive woes, Arizona's defense is extremely impressive, Mike. What are you looking at here?
Yeah, I really think both of these defenses are pretty solid. I mean, the Panthers were struggling a little bit during the season. I'm not quite sure what the reason was. Maybe a little bit hit in their defensive line.
Not a big difference.
Issues going on with Hardy and all that, everything.
Sure.
But the
NFC South stink. That's all the teams are that way.
Exactly, it really does. But I think the main thing here, I think the Panthers' defense is going to be solid this game, and I think they're going to take out Arizona.
They came to
Shouldn't
play
be hard
against
for
Atlanta.
them.
They came to
Main
play
factor.
against Atlanta.
They killed Atlanta.
And I think they're going to be solid.
Luke Kuechly is not being talked about enough. He's certainly leading the way.
Yep.
Well, Kyle, that's why I'm picking Carolina over Arizona, because of what happened in the division championship game against
Atlanta Falcons.
They kicked their ass pretty good in the Dome in Atlanta. So that's why I see them winning here. I do
Two
think
interceptions for touchdown. Actually, should have been three, but one was called back.
but I do think this game is going to be the shitty game of the weekend.
Yeah, not really going out on a limb. It's funny how they scheduled that one first, so that way we kind of got it out of the way.
That's right.
Are any of us going with the Arizona Cardinals, K-Mac?
Nope.
No.
Really? Okay, so we're all going with the Carolina
All going with
Panthers.
Yep.
I just can't pick Arizona at all, seeing as how they played towards the end of the year. They didn't give us any reason to think that they're capable of winning a road playoff game. The only chance I think Arizona has is if they get a pick six themselves. They need Patrick Peterson to straight up score on defense, maybe even something on special teams, because they're going to have to go with Lindley, I think, and that's not going to do anything against Carolina's
And more so, not
upgrade
having
defense.
Ellington, that's really killing them right now,
Yeah.
man. If
Yeah,
they had
it's
Ellington,
true.
I'd say they can at least get that done. They can move the ball on the ground, control the clock, use their defense. I mean, they're just having to throw in random running backs in. It's not going to work for them, unfortunately. And we're going to see a team that didn't even finish 500 possibly moving into the next round.
The good thing is, with that win, it will move them over 500.
Yes.
So I guess, or at least I think exactly at
Well,
500.
how do you go with the tie?
There's
There's a tie.
It'd be 8-8-1.
The tie rounds it up.
That'd be straight up tie all the way around. And they would have a chance, of course, to move over 500 in the second round of the playoffs. They are actually the number 4 seed, which means chances are they might travel to Green Bay. That'd be a hell of a game.
Yeah.
We're all picking Carolina. Let's move on to the second game on that Saturday. It's going to be the Baltimore Ravens against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, last I heard, we're recording this on a Monday. I heard Le'Veon Bell couldn't even walk. But then again, he has some time. We've seen these players get healthy. If I were Pittsburgh, I think you might want to hold him out just because Baltimore at home might be a game you could win without Le'Veon Bell. I know that's saying a lot because Bell is so impressive, but let's face it, Baltimore's run defense is very good, so a hobbled Le'Veon Bell is not going to be too useful. What do you think, K-Mac?
Yeah, and I agree with you there, and then that standpoint. Obviously, Bell has added a lot, like you said. We were talking beforehand to the receiving game of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So they're going to lose that a little bit, but I mean they got great receivers.
He's such a great running back. He might even be a more valuable receiver, which
Yeah.
they would need against Baltimore.
Yeah, this was a tough game for me to go with because I like a lot of aspects with Baltimore.
Me too.
Justin Forsett has been getting slowed down lately, but I still think he's good enough running back to, if they need time in the end to control the clock, he can get it done. We've seen him do that before, get a lot of his yards later in the game. And but Pittsburgh, man, Antonio Brown, he's such a playmaker. If he's not going to do it in the receiving game, possibly does it on a punt return. One of the most dangerous players I've seen in the NFL in a long time. And for that and Big Ben, these Big Ben's had the experience in the playoffs before. I'm going Pittsburgh at home to win this one.
I really want to pick Baltimore here because Pittsburgh's without Le'Veon Bell. I just don't think they could do it in Pittsburgh Stadium there. I mean, that's going to be so ruckus, terrible towels everywhere. And I think, like you said, the Roethlisberger-Brown connection probably will be enough. Despite Baltimore's impressive, I mean, they got impressive wide receivers, as we know, and their defense has been holding it down with C.J. Mosley, the rookie. Mike, what's your prediction for Baltimore traveling to the fearsome Pittsburgh Steelers home field advantage?
Really, in this game, I've got to go with the Steelers, even without Le'Veon Bell. I don't think just, Bell is going to hold them back from winning.
Hopefully they'll get him back healthy for the week after.
Exactly, have them for the divisional round.
Yeah, they'll need him.
Like you guys said, the combination or the connection between Brown and Roethlisberger, it's really unstoppable this year. I mean, it's unbelievable how Brown is. He's
So impressive.
Really athletic. And
Move
they
over
also
Calvin
have,
Johnson.
Exactly. And they have, other receivers as well. They've got Martavis Bryant having a pretty solid sleeper year.
Another great rookie wide receiver.
Exactly.
And then the always dependable Heath Miller.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to point out. Going to be there in the middle.
How
ready
about
for Roethlisberger to hit him?
The guy you're missing on? How about the always dependable James Harrison? He's back, and he looks great, and that defense is getting it done because they almost lost to the Bengals last week. They were able to get a key fumble. A lot of people want to blame A.J. Green, but let's actually give some credit to the Steelers for nailing him enough to cause a fumble.
Yeah.
Obviously, he got injured after. Hopefully, Green can get healthy enough to return to face off with the Indianapolis Colts. We'll get into that here in a second. But that Pittsburgh defense is another reason why I'm picking them.
Oh, yes. This goes back to something Kyle said earlier, but you can't pick against any of those AFC teams up there, up in the north there. They're all good. Well, not all of them, but most of them are really good. But
That's true.
I'm going to make it unanimous and go with Pittsburgh. I mean, this is a tough matchup, but Pittsburgh's at home, and I like them.
One team I want to give a special shout out. I don't know if any Cleveland fans are listening, but I thought the Browns could have been something. They completely fell apart.
Yeah.
That would have been another good team up there in the AFC North. Of course, we have the AFC North showdown here, Baltimore versus Pittsburgh. We're all going with Pittsburgh. It's unanimous.
That's what it seems like.
A couple unanimous picks so far. Sticking with the AFC North, the Cincinnati Bengals are traveling to the Indianapolis Colts. Now, hopefully the Colts have their receivers healthy. We know Reggie Wayne got a little hobbled up. He had a huge catch in the last week of the season, but it might have got him a little bit banged up. I think he's going to play, and I think he'll be fine. And T.Y. Hilton is also banged up heading into this game. I think that this is a code blue situation for Indianapolis here, Kyle. We know their run defense is terrible, and since the Bengals come in with two really good running backs.
They really do, and I mean that was a great game. Last week of the season with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it was.
I felt like it wasn't like Cincinnati got beat, bad against Pittsburgh. Like you said, the fumble was the difference. I thought Cincinnati was actually going to win that game.
Yep.
I like Cincinnati's game. Like you said, Indianapolis, their run defense has definitely struggled, and right now Cincinnati has two beasts at running back. Gio Bernard looks like he's 100% now. He's catching balls out of the backfield.
Yeah.
And you got your boy Jeremy Hill that has had 3 games in a row of 100 yards. So if they can do that, I think they can go on the win and beat Indianapolis. Of course, it's always hard to go against Andrew Luck. He might pull some, fourth quarter 2-minute drill shenanigans on us, but I'm going with Cincinnati actually to upset Indianapolis.
Really?
Man, I really like that pick just because of what I said. The running backs there, I think Jeremy Hill's going to be able to run it on Indianapolis. And we know Cincinnati has been very determined to run the ball. And it might help them that A.J. Green is going to be kind of less than 100% in this game if he even plays due to a concussion, because they can definitely run it on Indianapolis. What do you think, Mike? Indy looks so great all year. A lot of people had them as a Super Bowl favorite. They slowed down at the end of the year. They're at home to face off with the Bengals.
A lot of people have slowed down at the end of the year, though.
Yeah, really, it's a tough game to choose here. Really, both of these teams are really solid. Great matchup here. I think I'm going to have to end up going
Andrew Luck or Andy Dalton, Mike?
I'm going to have to go with Luck. I think he's got his target in Coby Fleener. I think he's a great red zone target, and I think he's going to be able to hit him a couple times this week like he did last week. And I think they're going to beat the Bengals. I think it's going to be a really close game like the Bengals-Steelers game last week.
Yeah,
I think we'll as well.
But I think the Colts are going to pull away.
I like the Fleener pick because so many people are going to concentrate on all their other weapons, and that makes it pretty much impossible to focus on Fleener. You kind of have to think of Dwayne Allen, their other tight end, as a bigger threat just because he's more talented. And you have Reggie Wayne, you have T.Y. Hilton. Hell, you even have Hakeem Nicks. We've seen Nicks blow up in the past. He's been a top 10 receiver in the NFL, so you have no choice but to guard against those players. But Coby Fleener has been playing with Andrew Luck since college. That's why they have the chemistry, and that's why Luck is not afraid to go to his boy.
Yep.
Mike's going with the Colts. Retro Brett, what do you think?
Well, this is another really, really good game. I'm going with Indy as well. I just can't go with Cincinnati. To me, they've just had too much of an inconsistent season.
Wait, Andy Luck?
Yeah.
Okay, I had to confirm there.
Oh, yeah, Andy versus Andy.
Yep. Well, it's another good matchup, like I said. I'm going with Indy.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely, like you guys said, a very hard game to pick. I'm going to go with the Bengals. I think they will be able to run it on Indianapolis. Man, it's too bad that the Colts have kind of fallen off towards the end of the year because they did look so great, but they just lost momentum. They did win the last game of the season against Tennessee. Andrew Luck played one half, and he played pretty good. So we'll see if that one half is enough to get the momentum back on their side. If they get a home victory against Cincinnati, you don't want to get the Colts rolling. That's for sure, because that would set them into the second round, most likely in a road game against the New England Patriots, because we're, of course, all thinking that the Pittsburgh Steelers would win. So we'll see what happens there. Let's finish it off. Detroit Lions versus the Dallas Cowboys. Man, and Ndamukong Suh is not looking too good here, guys. I know we have a lot of Detroit fans, but, man, this is not good. He's so dirty. I think they need to suspend him for the playoffs. I know he's probably going to be suspended for the game, but I don't like that. Yeah, I just don't like that he's obviously blatantly dirty, and he's still kind of getting away with it with people apologizing to him.
And now he's been suspended
here?
as well. He's been suspended, and he's already
has the one game suspension.
Yeah, and he's already had problems before with this, so obviously he doesn't care about it anymore.
This is 70s NFL stuff.
But
there's no place for today's game for that.
Going back to this,
it's not going to help him stopping DeMarco Murray.
Not at all. Not helping him with one of the best offensive lines, probably the best offensive line in the NFL. They're definitely going to have some success running the ball. And Des Bryant's been on a tear lately. Tony Romo, like you had mentioned before we did this video, he's been rated as the best quarterback so far this year in the league. So it's hard to go against Dallas at home. I just don't like what I've been seeing from Detroit lately. They've kind of fallen off. I don't know what's happened to Calvin Johnson. And going Cowboys to win this one.
I can't pick Detroit at all. They haven't looked good at all. Their schedule at the end of the year was pretty easy, so they had it set up, and they still only finished with the 6th seed. I really like the Dallas Cowboys heading into the playoffs. They're pretty hot. And without Ndamukong Suh, I think DeMarco Murray is going to have his way. Not to mention, Dez Bryant looks like the number one receiver. We've been praising Antonio Brown, but right now I would take Dez Bryant over him. I'm taking the Cowboys in a big way. What do you think, Mike?
I've got to go with the Cowboys here. I mean, like you said, without Sue, Detroit's done on the line there. And the rest of their defense is solid, but I really got to go with the Cowboys here. They've looked solid towards the end of the season. Really, really good team.
I feel that this is the best game of the weekend. I feel that these two teams are very susceptible. Dallas has issues in the playoffs. Detroit, like if one thing goes bad for them, it's a domino effect. But I'm going with Detroit.
Wow, you're going with Detroit on the road. Is this the Romo effect here? Do you think he's going to have a playoff fail?
Well, I'm kind of counting on it. Plus, I don't like the Cowboys, so I'm picking against them.
Oh, you cannot pick with your heart, Retro Brett. That has nothing to do with
Nah,
this.
it's more than that.
I'm not a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I'm picking them easily. And I think you said you're going with the Dallas Cowboys, old FPS Kyle.
Yeah,
Like,
taking Dallas to win this one. Detroit, just I don't think they have a chance in this game.
You think there's any chance Calvin Johnson can take over this game?
I don't know, man. I don't see it happening. Rod Marinelli, I think he's going to find a way to expose him. I think he's kind of been exposed the last couple of weeks. It's just something's not right with Calvin Johnson. I know he's got the ankle. His ankle's kind of banged up a little bit, so that could be it. But it just hasn't been the same. And I don't know if it's Stafford or if it's Calvin Johnson at this point.
And I really haven't been impressed with Joyke Bell. You know, that doesn't give him that great of a running presence. I know Reggie Bush busted out a couple big runs a few weeks back, but
Nothing on a consistent basis.
Yeah, I'd prefer a better running back for Detroit. I mean, that's the one thing they're really missing. I know a lot of people are behind Joyke Bell, but you have a great defense. Unfortunately, going to be without Sue. You have great wide receivers, not only Calvin Johnson, but also Golden Tate. But we'll see if the running backs can get it done here in this playoff game against the Cowboys. I'm picking the Cowboys. I really like them. So let's go ahead and move on, guys, and let's pick our Super Bowl predictions. Mike, I know, of course, you picked Indianapolis, and then you also picked Pittsburgh. So that would send Indianapolis to New England. That would be a hell of a game. We already kind of teased it. Who do you have coming out of that one?
I've got to go with New England there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So are they your favorites for the Super Bowl in the AFC?
They are. New England is my favorite for the Super Bowl AFC.
All right, so you're going with the New England Patriots, definitely probably the favorites. In the NFC, you picked the Carolina Panthers, and you also picked the Dallas Cowboys. So who do you have coming out of the NFC? You still have Seattle as the number one seed. Whoever wins is probably going to have to go through their home. The Green Bay Packers also look dynamic.
I think to go to the Super Bowl, I think it comes down to two teams in the NFC. Comes down to the Seahawks and the Packers.
I had a feeling you'd say that.
I've got to go with the Packers here. It's a tough pick between those two, but I'm going to go Packers versus the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Packers, Patriots, that would be a rematch of a Super Bowl we've seen before. Of course, the Packers came on top in that one.
Yep.
That was a good one.
No Brett Favre.
Yeah, no Brett Favre this time around. Aaron Rodgers would have a return visit to the Super Bowl. We've seen him beat the Steelers last time around. Mike thinks he's going to return to face the Patriots. We'll get his winner in a little bit. Let's go to Retro Brett. RB, what are you thinking for the Super Bowl?
Well, I have New England over Pittsburgh in the championship round.
That would be a hell of a game.
New England going to the Super Bowl, and
All
have
right, Mike's.
Green Bay over Carolina in the championship round.
Oh my gosh, so you have Carolina defeating Seattle.
Yes, I do.
I like the pick, Retro Brett. I kind of like the pick, man. Cam Newton, people are underestimating old Cam.
Wow.
Yeah, it'd be a good game. It'd be interesting to see.
That would be a great game. Wow, so you have... Actually, I'm sorry. Actually, that would change it up because you had Detroit defeating the Dallas Cowboys. So that would put Detroit on the road to the Cowboys. And of course, that would... So that would switch up your NFC Championship game. That would make it a little bit different. That would make your NFC Championship game would actually be Carolina versus Green Bay.
Yep.
So that would put Dallas against Detroit. Who would win that game?
What was that now?
I'm sorry, Detroit at Seattle.
Detroit at Seattle.
Okay, so then you have the Seattle Seahawks losing in the NFC Championship game.
Yes, I do.
That would be a crazy predicament.
That'd be crazy.
Let's go to FPS Kyle. I know you've been thinking
Crazy.
hard about this. It's a really hard season to pick who's going to the Super Bowl because some of these teams, it's almost like, man, can these guys actually make it to the big game?
Yeah.
K-Mac, of course, you had Dallas defeating Detroit, and you had Carolina defeating Arizona. Who do you have coming out of the NFC?
Well, all the games in this wild card matchup, I don't see a single team from this wild card matchup making it to the Super Bowl.
Really?
Dallas, I think, is the only team that has a chance maybe to get to the NFC Championship. I think in the NFC it comes down to Dallas, Green Bay, and obviously Seattle. I'm sticking with my team from Seattle that I picked, or my team from the NFC that I picked before the season started. I'm sticking with Seattle. Russell Wilson, one of the smartest, underrated quarterbacks for his knowledge of the game. He's not going to make the mistakes. He looked a little sloppy, last week, but his last game of the season. So I'm going with Seattle to win, to actually win it all this year for the repeat. And then I'm going
AFC, who do you got?
for the AFC. I was liking New England earlier in the season. I'm switching up. I'm going Denver Broncos. Found a run game. Their run game mixed with Peyton Manning when they need it. It's going to get it done. New England has not looked right in the last couple weeks.
I'm going to actually go with the Dallas Cowboys versus the New England Patriots, with the Dallas Cowboys coming out on top. Quickly, who's your Super Bowl champ, Kyle?
Seattle Seahawks.
Who's your Super Bowl champ, Mike?
Packers.
New England.
New England for Retro Brett. Thank you guys for joining us for our playoff
wins.
preview. Make sure to drop in the comments who you think's going to win this year's Super Bowl, and hopefully it will be as epic of a playoffs as we think. Have a good time watching all the games, guys. Enjoy the weekends, and we'll catch you guys for our Super Bowl preview. Until then, stay trippy, everybody.